And this is the final section on the lowdown of pelvic floor exercises for you. So we've talked about technique, what to look for in terms of a good and a not so good technique. We talked about dosage, how much to do to make a difference, and also in terms of the different types of exercise with the fast contractions and the long holds. Now we need to think about when we should be seeing changes, what sort of changes you should see, and when to again seek further advice if things aren't going in the right direction for you. But also if things have gone in the right direction, looking at how to go into the maintenance phase of pelvic floor exercises. So the first thing will be when to see change. Also already have talked about that 6 to 8 week change, which is when your muscles are learning what to do. Within 6 weeks, your muscles should start to feel stronger. The technique, the exercise should start to feel easier as you're tuning in more to your pelvic floor. The same as with working on other muscles in the gym. Within 6 to 8 weeks, you'll probably be expecting me to progress my weight on from what I'm doing. But muscle hasn't actually changed in that time. I'm not going to look any bulkier. My muscle's not going to be any thicker in that time. My muscle's just learning a new skill, which makes it a bit easier to do, makes it feel stronger. The same happens with the pelvic floor at that stage. But because it hasn't changed in structure and thickness, you may not expect any changes with your symptoms. So with the bladder, bowel, or in terms of prolapse symptoms in that time. So don't feel that, well, the muscles are stronger, but it's not making any changes. That's what we'd expect at that time. Okay. Now, symptom changes depend on what the problems are in terms of when they improve. If it's related to the control over your bladder and your bowels, with that rushing to the toilet, then you should really expect some changes within that learning time frame. So within 6 to 8 weeks, a feeling that you've got a little bit more control there. If it relates more to counteracting pressures, so for prolapse problems or with bladder problems, so coughing, sneezing, running, and things that you're trying to counteract that force, it's going to take longer. Okay, so usually we're looking at about 3 to 4 months if it's more the bladder, and more maybe nearer to the 4 months before we see any changes for a prolapse symptoms, because we need to get that thickness of the muscle, which isn't going to change overnight. Okay, so don't be put off thinking that things aren't improving when you're feeling that strength. It does take a bit longer. Okay, but if you're not seeing those changes when you reach 3 to 4 months and you're not really feeling any progress, then again, make sure you are seeking some help to check that your technique's been okay. Talk through how much you've been doing, making sure you have been doing them in the right position, make sure you have been overloading those muscles, see if there's any sort of fine tuning that needs to be done. And if you're not making any progress, that's the point where it may be looking at other options in terms of help with pelvic health problems. Okay. Another important element is also with timing. So sometimes people can have a very strong pelvic floor, but they just don't work at the right time. So what we need is when we cough and we sneeze and we push, pull, lift things up, is we want actually, without us even thinking about it, our pelvic floor should be responding to counteract those forces that our abdominal muscles are creating with that pushing, pulling, and lifting. Sometimes things just don't quite work as they should do. But what you can do to help with that is something called the knack. And what this involves is actually consciously thinking about the pelvic floor and pulling those muscles in when you push, pull, cough, sneeze, lift, so that whatever strength you've got it there at the right time. And for that reason, you might find actually symptoms can improve before you reach that 3 to 4 month mark if it's a matter of timing. But that's a good technique for people to be doing anyway with any bladder, bowel, prolapse issues, to get into that habit of getting your muscles there at the right time. So that's called the knack, so don't forget that part. Now, when you feel you've got as much as you can from the pelvic floor, it might be 6 to 9 months down the line, depending on how strong they are to begin with, but you will reach a plateau where you feel that you've got as much benefit as you can, or you may just feel, you get to the point you feel satisfied that you're dry, symptom free, but you do want to try and then maintain that level of strength that you've got to. You're looking then to go into a maintenance phase of exercises. You don't have to do 3 times a day for life. It's not harmful if you want to continue like that. But when you've got that change in the structure, change in the bulk of your muscle, you can ease off a little bit in terms of the intensity. What you're aiming to try and maintain is those 3 blocks once a week. Okay, and you're aiming that though for life. Because unfortunately, like any other muscle in the body, if you ease off too much from the pelvic floor and you go for weeks and months of not thinking about them anymore, not exercising about them anymore, like any other muscle, it starts to become weaker and the muscle starts to reduce in size, and then problems start to recur. So maintenance is important. So if you found benefit from doing the exercises, you do need to keep up with them, but you don't have to do quite as often. So once a week, maintain that. So perhaps when you're going around the supermarket, up and down the aisles, stood at the checkout, try and build your pelvic floor with that. Or maybe if you built it up to the level of an exercise group, some Pilates classes, yoga classes, or into the gym activities and classes that you're doing, then try and incorporate the pelvic floor with those, as long as they're strong enough to counteract what your exercise it is that you're doing. Okay, so think about maintenance, think about the knack, so you're using what you've got there at the time as well. And do give them time to make any changes. But if you're not seeing any progress or not seeing sufficient progress, again, do seek help at those stages so we can look at further options for you. Okay, well, I hope you found the lowdown on the pelvic floor useful. Hopefully it will give you some more insight in terms of what we do in terms of pelvic health through physio. I'm here at Embrace Physio in Derby. If you have any concerns, feel free to look at the website, give us a call, drop us an email, so we can help with more one-to-one issues. And again, further around the country, look at the POGP website or look at the Squeezy app for the directory of other pelvic health physios that will be able to help you if you're struggling. Okay, thanks. Bye.